Finished all square at the Amex, 1-1 between Chelsea and Brighton. For the second time in 20 days, the points are shared in the Premier League. Boys, let's get straight into our hashtag, actually, which is drop points question mark. It's a question mark because, Dan, it might not be the worst. It feels difficult whenever you're a Chelsea fan to not win the game because we're so used to winning games, but Brighton are a good side. They showed it again today, and a point is probably a fair result again.
Yeah, I mean, it's drop points because we're Chelsea, and we want 3 points everywhere we go, but on the grand scheme of things, we're probably quite even fortunate in ways to have got away with that, because they had a couple of chances where they could have maybe tipped the scales. I know we had some efforts later on in the game, but it became a bit of a yo-yo match where anybody could have nicked it. So I wouldn't say it's points dropped. I wouldn't say it's a good point, but it's a point against a good team.
In terms of, like Dan said there, it's a point. It's not a great point, but it's probably not a bad point in the way, because you've probably seen games like that where Chelsea haven't been at their best and have come away with nothing. So in that aspect, it's a good point. But Thomas Tuchel certainly won't be too pleased with coming away with just one.
100%. I think it's a game where, I mean, to be honest, I don't know why we're quite surprised. The only team that's drawn more games than us is Brighton. So going into this, we should have expected it. But it's one of those games where actually that felt like if there was going to be a winner, it was going to come from someone, a dodgy deflection where it's come off and it's gone in the top corner and nothing you could do about it. Because realistically, apart from the corner they had, that was it. That were the only chances that people could have scored. We didn't necessarily create any amazing opportunities where we've caused Sanchez to make some great saves. It's a brilliant long shot from Ziyech that's far in the bottom corner. And really, apart from that one set piece, we defended the set pieces pretty well. It was weirdly an even game, like a really even game. Like, you have to take your hat off to Brighton there. Webster was brilliant from the back. Like, just did it. All you think at times, I think you thought he was playing centre mid at times. Yeah, I mean, it's hard because you give respect to Brighton, but you come away thinking, look, we're Chelsea. We've spent so much money in the summer to make sure we're winning these kind of games, and maybe it's a little bit fatigue. Maybe it's little bit of all these games catching up to us, but. Yeah, it's a bit of a tough one, I think.
It's familiar settings for Chelsea. 9th 1-1 draw of the season, including Super Cup, Carabao Cup games that we've gone on to win on penalties. But it does feel very much like we said before, you don't kill the game off. Yep. You leave yourself exposed. It's a great header from Webster as the equaliser. It's a brilliant header. Yep. It's a really good header. But ultimately, it's what we've said before, the same narrative in terms of we've been ahead in 8 of those 9 games that we've drawn 1-1. And it's come back to bite us a little bit. Yeah,
I would give us perhaps the benefit of the doubt this time, seeing as I didn't feel like we necessarily played far better than them to be ahead in the first place. The goal kind of came against the run of play. But still, at that point, you expect a team like Chelsea to kick on and really grab the game by the scruff of the neck. And Brighton were with us every step of the way, if I'm honest. So credit to them. They were brave. They kept coming at us. And they got their reward from a set piece where they may have got it from open play, in a different game. So it's frustrating. You see games like this, and obviously we haven't lost, so we can't be too disheartened. But you see games like this, and we could easily have lost it. But we've also seen Chelsea teams that have played like this and have left with all 3 points as well. So it's a tough one.
Yeah, completely right. Let's get to the game on social. Before the game, we were talking about worldies at the Amex. We've got another one tonight from Hakim Ziyech. What a blinder from Ziyech. That's what we need more of. What a perfect, powerful snapshot. More of that, Hakim. Let's go. This is why I'll always give Hakim a chance. All his goals are clutch ones at clutch moments. That's from Mr. Nav on Twitter. And this one from Opta Joe. This is a nice one, actually. All 4 of Hakim Ziyech's Premier League goals for Chelsea have come away from home, netting at Turf Moor, the Etihad, Vicarage Road, and now the Amex. It's an interesting stat, actually, isn't it? And I suppose there is a bit about that. Sometimes players do feel more comfortable on the road, but also you need players away from home to dig in a little bit more, because at home they're comfortable, but away from home, if you've got a player like Hakim Ziyech that's going to come up with big goals like that, it's going to be important.
Yeah, and it did feel like everything was coming through him today. Any chance that we kind of had, whether it was a slim pickings one or coming in from the wing, it felt like it was coming through him. For those 60, 70 minutes that he was on, it felt like that was the only real way we were going going to get through, and it was the only way that we scored the goal. Up to that point, it felt until maybe the 75th minute, we were kind of seeing out Brighton, seeing what they were going to do, and kind of go from there. I felt like once it hit 75, we were then the ones dictating play, pushing them back in their box, and finding it a bit difficult to get that last ball in there. Hakim's a fantastic player. I mean, we watched him during pre-season. He looked like he was going to explode this season. It's not quite worked out just yet, but we're only halfway through, at the halfway stage of the season, and we need him to get us through, especially in all the competitions that we're in. There's always minutes up for grabs, and we know that Thomas Tuchel likes to switch it up. He likes to give people opportunities, and when you take your opportunity, you'll be pretty happy. It's a weird one. I don't know if Ziyech comes away from today happy with his performance, but I mean, he's got the goal. He kept us in this game. I think he'll be at least somewhat pleased.
It's a strange scenario, actually, Dan, isn't it? Because this time last season, we were winning games 1-0, and it felt like as soon as you got that goal, the game was almost over because there was no way we were conceding goals. We'd shut up shop. But again, I've come away from today, defensively, I thought we were brilliant. I thought Thiago Silva was exceptional again. Yeah. So it feels quite a strange one, because I don't think you can come away from an overall Chelsea performance and be disappointed, because I felt Chelsea done the right things to win the game. But Brighton will be saying exactly the same in their camp.
Yeah, that's the difference. We're quite used recently to dominating games, and when it is a bit of a 50-50 affair like it was today, it feels like we're out of control, because we're used to having 70% possession and loads of shots at goal. And if it's a draw, it's because we haven't put away our chances. But this was actually a bit of a basketball match in the sense where they gave it a go just as much as we did, had just as much success as we did as well. So a draw is a fair point. If I'm totally honest, I feel like we could have played better, and but it's a tough game. It's Brighton. We know what it was. It's pretty much the mirror game of what it was 20 days ago. They really came, gave it a go. It was 50-50.
They come back.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. It's exactly that. Very much cancelling each other out. And we mentioned Thiago Silva a second ago. Rightly so, a lot of people giving him credit online. This is from Bruce. Thiago Silva might be my favourite defender to watch. He's everything they said Varane would be. Nice, yeah. Thiago Silva is 37 years old. The guy's phenomenal. He's just... It doesn't matter what age he is almost, doesn't it? Because like you said, this one's a great one. PSG let Thiago Silva go for free. When you look at him every single week, top draw, plays the game at his own pace, he is phenomenal. Like, absolutely formidable. Yeah, this would be lovely, wouldn't it? Every fan does think that. Yeah. Can we rewind time and get Thiago Silva for a decade or something? That said, though, Zach, we were having a little chat before the show tonight, us three, talking about Thiago Silva. Quite comfortably seeing him playing into his 40s.
Yeah. I mean, he signed a new contract. He's here for next season. I think he'll then be 39. And he continues to impress. Like, defensively, we weren't that bad today. Like, we really weren't. Rudiger had a really good game next to Thiago Silva. I thought they defended pretty well. They made their challenges when they needed to. They got it out of the box when they needed to. Thiago Silva just is such a... I think for any defender growing up, like, he is the most intelligent defender you can watch play. He was the Van Dijk before Van Dijk, right? He's not necessarily got the stature of Van Dijk, who's 6'4". I think he's about 6'1". But the way he plays is so intelligent. He knows he's not the quickest footballer nowadays. He knows if he's a guy with a bit of pace, he might not be able to catch up. So what he does, he gives them the space. He makes them have the time to decide what they're going to do, and he then, once they're thinking, pounces on them. And then, just when he's so good at defending, he's even better at passing the ball and starting an attack. It's a shame, I think, that he's not come away as the winners today. It's almost as if him and Webster deserved their own little three to be together. They were both fantastic. Thiago Silva doesn't look like he's going to be stopping anytime soon. And Thomas Tuchel said how well he keeps his body and keeps himself in shape. And I think it speaks a lot that when Thiago Silva's gone down, you see him feeling his leg. Everyone here just goes, "Oh my gosh, what are we going to do?" That's not just to discredit any other defender, but I think it's just the level that Thiago Silva is playing at. He's irreplaceable.
I completely agree. And also, Dan, realistically, the chat was in a 3, Thiago Silva's better when you've got 2 runners around him or you've got 2 players that can cover. But because he reads the game so well, he plays in a 2 tonight, doesn't put a foot wrong, plays in a 3, doesn't put a foot wrong. And like Zach said, he offers you so much more than just out-and-out defending. Yeah,
he just oozes experience and he's a cerebral footballer. He really is, because it's not as if he's ever had blistering pace, but he sees things just before they happen. The ability to step in front of a striker as the ball's on its way to his feet. Little things. It's just having that nous to know where the ball is going to drop and where the danger's going to be. Loads of times you'll see a defender as a wide player is coming in, they'll run towards their front post, but he just drops off because he understands that the ball's probably coming back in this here, and it's just stuff you probably can't teach. I'm not even sure if you can learn it. It's just stuff you have, and it's a sixth sense that you almost, find over the years. It's a ridiculous footballer.
It's like he's watching a stream 30 seconds ahead of everyone else, and then he reads the game before it happens and just stops it happening. He's just, phenomenal. In fact, he was sensational today. He'll be disappointed on behalf of the team that Chelsea haven't come away with all 3 points. Talk about here.
I think that's wrong.
I think that's a bit harsh.
Well, I think for the set piece.
Yeah, it'll be disappointing. I think
analytically, I think anyone as well can pick a moment in a game where something's not gone quite right. But
of course, I think absolutely right.
The set piece wasn't the best.
The set piece wasn't the best, and I think that'll be something that again will be isolated and looked at by the analysts and everything like that, and worked on in training, because this is something that we don't see from Chelsea. We've not seen. This isn't a common theme. Yeah. We've not seen anything like that this season.
And Chelsea, every other set piece was defended brilliantly.
Absolutely
as
right.
Well. It was just that one. Like, it might have been a little bit of sleeping. It might have been one. That's a risk you take when you defend like that. When you haven't got a man for man and you know who your exact man is. If someone does make a certain run and someone then does kind of lose it, there's no one attributed to him to blame. Like, he's just a blocker. He's not meant to be trying to clear it. And you got to take the good with the bad, because 90% of the time it works. 10% doesn't. In another world, if we were man for man, is it only 6% of the time that works? So you obviously, when it's bad, it feels bad, but maybe most of the time it
just takes one player to switch off, and all of a sudden it looks a lot worse than it was. But in essence, that man probably belonged to a man, fell asleep for a second, get punished.
Well, on that, this stat here kind of underlines our point, really. Adam Webster's equaliser was just the second headed goal Chelsea conceded in the Premier League this season.
Exactly, man.
Where Brighton's Danny Welbeck responsible for the only other. So that kind of proves the point of this is a moment that happens. It's football. If football was played as it should be on paper, then it would be boring, because we'd all watch it and it'd be so methodical and so tactical. But in terms of the moments like this can happen in a game, and it's not a point that will overly concern Thomas Tuchel, because it's not a regular occurrence. If we're conceding 4 or 5 goals on the spin from set pieces, by all means you have a conversation about it and you look into it. But ultimately it isn't that, Dan. So it's difficult because it's cost us 2 points tonight, but ultimately it's not something to overreact to.
Yeah, it's not something you can even, really overanalyze. Someone fell asleep who knew that they fell asleep at the time. They would have. It's not something you even really need to go back over and say why. They get it right 9 times out of 10. It's just that moment, costs you a goal, and other times that flies into Rose or no one gets a header on it, or something else happens. But this time we got punished for it. And that is why Tuchel will try and make sure that mistakes are weaned out of players' games, because at this level, mistakes get punished. Even the tiniest of mistakes, you switch off for just a moment and the ball's in the back of your net.
Yeah, completely right. More social media reaction to the game tonight, including, this is a good point. It's really crazy how the injuries of Chilwell and Reece James damage us to the core. Only Chelsea fans will understand their importance. I think in terms of the setup and the way that Chelsea play, because, this is a conversation that every Chelsea fan will have had, but at the start of the season, especially up until Christmas, you knew the system, you knew the shape, you knew the personnel, really. You could pick 7, 8 of the 11. Whereas again tonight, coming into it, we're talking: is it a 4? Is it a 5? Is it a 3 with 2 wing backs? Who's playing wing back, etc. When you've got players like Chilwell and James that are at the very peak of their powers,
they were playing so well.
It's first and second names on the team sheet, and you don't worry about that. Whereas now, again, it's not a criticism of any player coming in, but you have to adapt, because some players suit certain roles better than others.
It's rough because I think we feel it even more because Chilwell, got injured at, as you said, the height of his powers. He was scoring, it felt like, every other week. He felt like he was playing striker at times. It was working so well. And then when you lost him, you're like, OK, well, at least we've got Reece James to put in those crosses. And you've got Marcus Alonso at the back post to kind of put them in. And then he's out for 2 months or so. And it's rough, and it's annoying that it's come at the same time, because it's cut you down even more. We all love Aspie to bits, but I think Aspie will be one of the first people to tell you he isn't the same player as Reece James. They're 2 different skill sets. The same as Marcus Alonso. He's not the same player as Ben Chilwell, and so it changes up the way Chelsea play. Chelsea's football was so much about dependent on those wing backs and them getting forward, and whether they were finishing it off or whether they were creating it themselves or being part of the creation. That's how important they were. And Aspie and Alonso are different players, and so Chelsea have to find different ways to play football with them. So yeah, it's tough, but I mean, hopefully, with Reece James on the way back, not too long, hopefully like a month or so, we'll see our fortunes change. But in the meantime, I think people have got to remember Brighton were good today. Like, every game you can come away and say, well, this one moment that they scored from could have changed. However, Brighton overall today deserved a goal, whether it came from this corner or whether it came from open play, whatever it might be. It's a lot easier, I think, personally, to accept a draw when you feel, OK, the other team played well. And yes, we didn't play amazingly, compared to we played amazingly, we should have scored 3 and we've conceded soppily. No,
you're absolutely right. And Dan, it's very hard to forget, easy to forget. Yeah. But Brighton have drawn more games than anyone else this season. I think they've lost fewer games other than Liverpool, Man City and maybe us, that they're the next best in terms of that. They don't get beaten, and when they are not winning games, they're drawing games because they're hard to break down. They don't score too many goals. Probably a very similar conversation to the ones that we've had in terms of, they're in a similar situation. They could probably have doubled their points tally if they'd have been able to add a second or a third goal into games this season. But they are a very good side. We're not doing that as a disservice after the event. We said this before kick-off. We said this before the first game that we played. And they're a very good side, very good in their system, a system we know very well because we've played it as well.
Yeah, and look, no one has a good time playing against them. There are teams far higher up the table that we'd probably put in a better performance against just simply because of the styles. Brighton play a heavy metal style of football where everything is high tempo, pace, power, and because of it, when you don't have your full squad and you're not playing your usual formation and you don't have your usual personnel, sometimes it becomes a little bit harder to deal with. And that would be a hard match even if we had a full-strength squad. It really would. It's a good Brighton team.
Oh, completely. Just want to come back to something we mentioned before the game as well in terms of injuries and personnel. And Chelsea have fulfilled every fixture so far. One of the few teams to do so. I think it is only us and Manchester City, I think. Forgive me if there's anyone else, but there's not many, especially not going deep in the Carabao Cup, FA Cup, Club World Cup coming up, Champions League, etc. We're missing players that we're then requiring other players to come in and do differing roles, differing skill sets. And again, we're talking about elite world-class players, so we're certainly not going, woe is us, we're in trouble. Nothing like that. But what I mean is, when you've got the same group of players, every team selects 25 players at the start of the season, when you've got Chelsea players that are playing 45 games up to this point, and etc., and some are playing 19, 20 games, there's going to be a difference. There's going to be fatigue because they're human beings. There's going to be that level. So I think there is a certain element, and I think Chelsea fans have got it right so far, there's a certain element of we get our head down and we go again because that's what Chelsea do. Chelsea don't find excuses, they go again. But there has to be that taken into account. You're asking players to do different roles. And then when you do get players back, it may not even be that players are in, the finest form of their career when they come back. It's another option. It's another alternative. It's another difference. You don't have to play 4 games in 6 days. You can play, you can alternate, you can rotate. That's so important that the bigger clubs usually have that luxury. We've not had that recently.
Yeah, it's been a bit rough. It's definitely been a bit rough. I think a lot of people will say that. And what you maybe hope is, OK, in the long run, when everyone else is having to play those games, we're getting time off. And you, in some way, shape or form, it will level itself out. Another team like Arsenal or Spurs, for instance, might have to, we say if they win all their games, they might catch up. But those are 4 extra games they're going to have to play later on, whilst we're also got a game in hand, or sorry, not a game in hand. We've got a game where we can rest up and not have to worry about it. But at the same time, like, if you are trying to be a top elite club and at the very top of the level, this is part and parcel of it, right? Like, if you are competing in all fronts, like we could sit here, I think we'd all rather be in our position than, say, Arsenal, where they're not in any European competition, right? They're knocked out of the FA Cup. They didn't make it, they're on the semi-finals of the Carabao Cup, but they haven't got everything else that we have. I think we'd all much rather sit in our position and say, yeah, we'd like to be competing in every single competition and going as far as possible and getting to the finals of them and already having won a piece of silverware at the beginning of the season, the Champions League last year. That's just part and parcel of what it is, being an elite club and going as far as you can. You have setbacks, you get knocks, you get injuries, but part of being that is overcoming it and obviously just kind of getting on with it.
Absolutely right, absolutely right. And the next time we kick a ball in the Premier League, Dan, after this Sunday, we've got Spurs at the weekend, which again, Chelsea Spurs is always one of those that form kind of goes out the window. We've got a very good record against Spurs. Yeah. Even last 2.5 weeks, we've got a very good record against Spurs. After that, we don't kick a ball again until after the FA Cup 4th round, after the Club World Cup will have concluded as well. So Chelsea might be rolling into the next set of fixtures after this weekend. Another trophy in the cabinet, a fortnight away from a Carabao Cup final. And then all of a sudden the narrative changes again because you're talking about a team that not only have allowed all that fixture, they're all good.
Yeah, exactly. And most Chelsea fans will accept that perhaps the league isn't on anymore for this season. But we're still fighting on all fronts in all of these competitions. We can come back with another cup. And you know, I feel like notoriously we are a bit of a cup team, and we do tend to do well in cup finals and you know, clutch matches. So, you know, and they're the ones that mean the most to us all. It's weird because I'm so used to it being a 38, 40, 50 game season, and for us, realistically, it's a 70 game season. It really is. We go deep in every competition.
You're absolutely right. And speaking of the manager, Thomas Tuchel is pitch side with Lee Parker.
Thomas, you expected a difficult night. What did you make of the performance?
Yeah, it was difficult. Circumstances are difficult. You don't wanna accept it that you're tired. If you look at the team in the meeting before and the preparation during the match, you clearly see that they're tired, mentally, physically, and play against a team that is hungry and plays more or less a cup game against us. Like celebrate every duel, celebrate every pass, every challenge. They celebrated the draw in the end, in the whistle as if they had won. That's the adversity we normally overcome, and you have to normally also overcome. But we are tired. It's a long spell now.
3 away games in 7 days, the travel and everything that comes with it.
Yeah, of course. I want to be very honest. You sit in the bus sometimes and you don't know. You have to think for 5 seconds where are we actually going and when do we play? And you wake up from the nap after lunch and you think like, where are we? What competition? What's going on? And so many meetings, so many pictures, so many things to do. And the players for sure feel the same. We demand a lot. Also today we can do better, of course, but was not the day. Was difficult. You can escape even with a win because we lead, but luck was not on our side as well to escape maybe with a second goal. So it is a draw in our away game, and we take it.
When that tiredness is such a factor to play against a team that press so high, I mean, they were at it, weren't they, from the first minute?
Yeah, and we can escape better. Yeah, of course they tried it. They know where we come from, and they know where they come from. And even in this little spell, they have a day more to prepare, and they had a home match on Friday, and we play at City on Saturday. And when we played City, they had a whole week to prepare, and we come from Tottenham. It's like this in the moment. I think... Of course, I would do the same if I were them. I would try to press high. I would try to involve us in a very physical game because you know when you're physically tired and mentally tired, you have a lack of concentration, lack of focus, lack of precision, and this is exactly what we had in our match. And but this at some point normal. You can escape with pure individual quality. Do we have it right now? No, struggle a little bit, and so that then the mix is ready for a difficult match, and it was like this.
You now have the luxury of 4 days to prepare for the match. What's the message before Tottenham on Sunday? 2 days off.
We give 2 days off. The boys need to see something else. We need to take the possibility to deconnect and take 2 days off and prepare 2 days then for Tottenham, and then we have a week off because we need to recharge the batteries and find the joy that you're hungry to play. We're like non-stop since, I don't know, middle of November. The team that plays non-stop in every competition, it's you can feel it.
Thanks, Thomas.
Danny's always very honest.
Yep.
Talks there about fatigue that clearly setting into the camp, understandably, and like Lee just pointed out, we've got now 4 days and we go again.
And you know, I'm glad he was that honest because it's a real thing. You know, physical fatigue is one thing. Mental fatigue is probably even bigger and more important at this level. We're tired. We've played a lot of matches, and you know, 4 days rest is a luxury. You know, and that's saying something. You know, most of the teams in this league play on a Saturday, and you probably don't play again until next Saturday. We have games in between then, sometimes we have 2 in between. It's crazy, and I'm not sure how Tuchel and the team are are actually attending these matches, I'd be half asleep.
it's a really good point, though, isn't it? Because naturally, fatigue, mental, physical, is going to set in. It's going to seep in, and Chelsea are going to have to deal with more games. I mean, if Chelsea go deep in the Champions League, there's no team that's going to come anywhere near the amount of games that we played. You know, a two-legged affair in the Carabao Cup semi-final, a final, another 2 games, long travel as well for the Club World Cup, FA Cup. Hopefully, we'll go deep in Champions League likewise. So this is something that Chelsea are dealing with, but they're going to have to continue to deal with. Some teams will have a congested back end of the season, but Chelsea have to deal with a congested period from September, when the season starts, or August, right the way through till May.
Yeah, it's not easy, and I guess this is where like the whole staff come in. It's about making these right decisions. Okay, instead of giving them 1 day off, you give them 2 days off, as Tuchel just said there, and those things can be what makes a huge change. Disconnecting from football, making sure it's just about spending some time at home with your family, whatever it might be, going for a walk, whatever it might be for you as a player, and then getting back to it. So you at least feel refreshed. You feel like you've had a break. Otherwise, at times it can just feel like it's the constant same thing. Okay, we're now on a bus. We've got to get back to bus, back to training tomorrow, got rehab the day after, etc., etc. It doesn't stop, and so a little bit of a refresh, a little bit of a bit of time away, maybe even travelling to the Club World Cup, get you out of the country, do new surroundings, and focus just on that little tournament, get all the way, win that, and get you back in here. Want to win more, want to beat other teams. Another, like, it's not easy. It's not easy for sure. But again, as we said, like, you can either be successful and win lots of things, play lots of games, or don't go far in competitions, play only a couple of games and not win anything. So, like, it depends what you'd rather, and I think most people would rather win a lot of trophies. Oh,
completely right. And the squad is important. Every player is important. Here's someone that's massively played a part in the last couple of weeks. Kepa Arrizabalaga with Lee Parker.
Kepa, we knew it was going to be a difficult evening against Brighton. Was that the type of performance you expected from them tonight?
Yeah, we expect that because they play very physical game. They play against us more or less 1v1 in all the pitch. So it's hard play against them. But I think in both games, at home and here, we scored first. We were like in good position to control the game, and we didn't. So, well, we dropped 2 points, very important point for us. So we have to look ourselves. We have to improve and step forward.
It's been an incredible run of fixtures. Has tiredness been a key recently, do you think?
I don't know. But what is clear is that we dropped points in the last month. That is clear. We have to look ourselves because we are in good position still in all competition. We are in the cup final. We are in Champions League. We are in the World Cup final. So in the league we are there, but we need points. We need to be back in the winning ways.
I wanted to ask about your performances. How pleased have you been with what you've done since coming back into the team?
Of course, I am not happy because we drop points, and the most important thing is win. That is clear. But well, I'm feeling well. I'm feeling well with confidence. I'm feeling with good distance with the guys in long balls, confident with the feet. So I'm feeling well. I'm trying to help the team. I'm trying to give my best. So in that point, I'm happy.
You've kept 4 clean sheets so far this season, 3 against Tottenham. It's them again next this weekend. How big a game is that in the context of this season?
Well, it's London Derby again. It's in Stamford Bridge, so it's good news. So we will go for a win. We need a win. We need to play well. We need take 3 points in front of our people. So we are confident. We have to improve and rest and go again.
Good man. Thank you much.
Thank you, guys.
Appreciate that. I'm with you on Friday for the. I think you're doing the podcast with us on Friday.
He has been very, very good since he's come back in. And yeah, like Lee's already alluded to there, plenty of football still to come in the next couple of days. A busy few days, as is always. Emma Hayes, Chelsea, back in action tomorrow in the Conti Cup quarter-final. Make sure you catch up with the best bits on the Fifth Stand-Up from 7:25 for that one. And then on Friday afternoon, Thomas Tuchel speaking to the press ahead of a big London derby on Sunday. Chelsea welcome Spurs to Stamford Bridge. 3:25. Matchday Live will be with you on the Fifth Stand-Up. Boys, thank you very much. Brilliant as always. Thank you very much for joining us. Not the 3 points we were after, but the Blues are back in action on Sunday against Spurs at home. It's always going to be a feisty one, so make sure you join us for it. Enjoy the rest of your week.